Tonight, a new and highly controversial set of claims is stirring fresh tension between Russia and NATO over what is really happening behind the front lines in Ukraine. And it comes as Western governments face renewed scrutiny over whether their involvement is strictly support or something closer to direct participation. Here's what's being alleged. A former officer tied to Ukraine's security structure, identified in reports as Vasily Prozorov, has surfaced with accusations that a largely hidden network of foreign contractors, some from NATO countries, has been operating inside Ukraine since 2022. And he claims that roughly 10,000 foreign contractor personnel may have been killed during the war, with the true figures, in his words, classified and deliberately obscured. Prozorov's account describes foreign personnel embedded across multiple Ukrainian formations, including military intelligence-linked elements, ground force units, and elite structures such as mechanized brigades, and air assault units, suggesting they are dispersed across the front in ways that make independent tracking extremely difficult. And he adds that in the early stages, Polish-linked groups and US-based private military circles were allegedly prominent, while later phases, particularly from 2024 onward, saw a shift toward recruiting fighters from lower-income countries, including reported arrivals from parts of Latin America like Colombia and Brazil, as Ukraine faced manpower strain. These claims align with a familiar Russian narrative that foreign mercenaries and Western specialists are not only present, but are treated as priority targets, something Moscow has asserted repeatedly, while Ukraine and its partners have historically pushed back, emphasizing training, advisory roles, and non-combat assistance rather than frontline deployment. Russian military voices have also amplified the storyline, alleging heavy foreign casualties in certain sectors as Russia advances in contested zones, and Russian sources have pointed to specific strikes as proof, describing attacks on locations they say were used by foreign specialists operating advanced systems. Yet none of those details are easy to verify independently because battlefield access is limited. Both sides tightly control casualty information, and accusations of exaggeration are constant. Adding a new political flashpoint, British officials have acknowledged the death of a UK service member in Ukraine, describing it as a tragic incident that occurred away from direct combat while observing or supporting testing of defensive capabilities. And while London frames this as non-frontline activity, Moscow is seizing on the confirmation to argue it validates long-standing Kremlin claims of Western boots on the ground, with Russian messaging insisting that any foreign trainer, advisor, or contractor inside Ukraine effectively becomes a legitimate target. The UK, for its part, has pointed to its large minus-scale training mission and broader support posture, training tens of thousands of Ukrainian troops, providing weapons, and coordinating assistance, while insisting that its forces are not deployed as combat troops, and that distinction matters because it shapes what escalation looks like if additional European countries move beyond training and logistics into presence inside Ukraine. The wider dispute is also being fueled by leaked document narratives and sweeping casualty figures circulating online, some claiming catastrophic totals for Ukrainian losses or describing units operating at partial strength. But without transparent, independently audited data, these numbers remain contested, and analysts warn that casualty claims are among the most manipulated information in modern war because they affect morale, recruitment, foreign aid, and domestic politics. Meanwhile, Ukraine has countered the foreign fighters' accusation by arguing that Russia itself relies on outside manpower, citing reports of North Korean involvement and alleging recruitment of foreign volunteers and mercenaries on Moscow's side, claims Russia denies or downplays depending on the case. So the propaganda battle is now running in both directions, each side portraying the other as unable to fight without foreign bodies and foreign money. What makes this moment especially volatile is the strategic implication. if the public comes to believe that foreign contractors and even active duty personnel are operating inside Ukraine in meaningful numbers, pressure will rise on NATO governments to clarify exactly what roles their citizens and service members are playing, what rules of engagement apply, and how they would respond if Russia strikes a location where Western personnel are present, because even an accident or a single casualty can become a political detonator. At the same time, it is crucial to underline what we can say with certainty tonight. These are allegations and counter. Allegations in an information environment designed for confusion, independent verification is limited, and casualty claims, especially precise figures like 10,000 killed, cannot be treated as established fact without credible, corroborated evidence. But the political impact is real regardless, because Russia is using these stories to reinforce its argument that it is fighting not just Ukraine, but a Western-backed proxy force, while Ukraine and its partners insist their support is lawful, defensive, and essential for survival. And with every new report of foreign deaths, every claim of targeted strikes on specialists, and every official acknowledgement, like the British confirmation, this shadow war narrative grows louder, raising the stakes for Europe, sharpening Moscow's warnings, and putting NATO's red lines under a brighter, harsher spotlight as the conflict grinds on.